Where's the movie about that? You know, when are they gonna fucking make a movie about two healthy people in a relationship actually doing the things that help you when you get into an argument or a fight? You know what I mean, dude? When are they gonna make that? Never. Pupils Live podcast, man. We are now in August. It's the first podcast of the month. And yeah, man, welcome. Welcome back. If you've been listening for a while, welcome for the first time, if it's your first time. And yeah, man, it's been a wild fucking 3 to 4 weeks since I last recorded an episode. A lot's happened. A lot's happened, dude. Some of it I'm going to talk about. Some of it I may not. Because that's just the way I operate now. I talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. Yeah, man. And but a lot's happened, and at the same time, everything's the same. A lot's happened, but at the same time, I'm still half Mexican, half white, dude. I'm still a fucking biracial, gelato slinging Mexican, dude. And I say at least twice a sentence. But no, dude, a lot has happened, and I don't even know what I'm gonna talk about. I have a list of stuff that I'm going to talk about, but you know how that always goes. You make a list of things to do, and then you fucking watch 3.5 hours of Bill Burr talking about fucking the Dallas Cowboys, But no, man. The first thing, man, the first thing that I want to talk about is that I met a fucking, so a couple of months back, I was having some trouble with jealousy and this need for control, and it just reached its boiling point, and I talked about it on the podcast. And so I reached out to somebody who knows somebody else who does healing work. Let's just call it that, because I just felt like, dude, this is my last shot, right? If I'm going to fucking ever just learn new ways to operate in this world, this is my last shot. I can't go down the same rabbit hole that I just came out of 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Because that's the definition of insanity. And so yeah, dude, I reached out to this person, and what do you know? A couple of weeks later, I'm fucking laying face up on somebody's table. Let's just call it that. It's not really a bed, but it's not really a table either. It's kind of like I'm at the fucking doctor, but I don't have to see a secretary. And, and they don't take insurance. But yeah, a couple of weeks later, I'm face up on this person's table, and they're, they're fucking chanting and they're calling me little boy, and they are, taking me back to a place that I don't revisit very often. We did an energy session, is what it's called, man. We did an energy session. And during this energy session, it was a 90-minute energy session. And the first 45 minutes, dude, the first 45 minutes was like the best fucking talk therapy I've ever had in my life. It was like all of the talk therapy I've ever had in my life combined into one person times 100. Like I would just tell her, this is what my parents' relationship was like. This is what my relationship to both of them was. And then she just started fucking rattling off, oh, I see. So you have a little bit of fear of abandonment, some attachment issue, just fucking like, it was like I was just inputting data into a computer and she was just processing it all automatically. And so we did 45 minutes of just regular talk therapy. And then once she felt like she had enough information, I got on that fucking table. And then she just, she asked me to go back to that moment in time where I felt like I was wounded. And I tried, man. I tried, but I couldn't, she said, like, I'm seeing an image of a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old little boy on the floor and something's not quite right. Can you recall anything? And I couldn't. I could not recall anything. And she said, that's okay. Let's go a little bit older. Let's go a little bit older. And then I fucking went to 20, dude. I went to 2021, not the year, but my age, 20/21. And I told her about an incident with my mom. And that just fucking did it, dude. I just said that, and then I just started crying. And she just, I don't know, man, it was weird. She just kind of like, all she was doing was talking and like touching different parts of my body and asking me to feel what I was seeing and not just to think about it. And it was after that I was kind of like, you know what, dude, I don't know if my fucking $5 therapist is doing the trick anymore. You know what I mean? Like I just felt, it's almost like, what could I compare it to, man? It's like, I don't even know, man, but it's like you have a fucking, I don't know, dude, you have something that's broken, but you just kind of can get away with using it. And then you figure out, you buy a new one that's fixed and you're like, how the fuck, you know what it's like, dude? It's like when I had my iPod and I was just fucking downloading fucking shit and changing the file names so that the caps were all like matching and renaming files, just this like 3-hour process that I would go through every time I wanted new music. And then I would put it in my iPod and then just fucking, that was how I listened to music, right? Because I was like, dude, I'm not going to pay fucking money for Spotify, da 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 da. And then then all of a sudden, dude, I was like, oh wait, I could pay $10 and I don't have to do any of this anymore. And once I went Spotify, dude, I couldn't go iPod back. I couldn't go back to iPod. So it's like that, it's like I had this just professional, couple $100 worth. And then I went back to regular therapy and it was just not the same, man. Or, I should say my specific therapist. And so I took a couple weeks off of therapy with that dude. And I just was thinking about, how much of this is my ego telling me, oh, you don't need therapy anymore. Remove your support system so that I can fucking take over and ruin your life again. And how much of it is it my intuition telling me, yeah, dude, you're kind of wasting your time. At this point, you don't really need to keep talking about it. You just need to start doing it, right? Because that was what I was feeling. But the ego is a tricky motherfucker. So I took some time to think about it, and I I did something that I'm doing more of, that I'm proud of, is that I'm not fucking seeking other people to be like, is this what I should do? Is this you that knows 5% of my lived experience? Do you know better what I should be doing? And I just fucking listen to my gut, man. And so then I go back to therapy, and he's asking me, how's everything going? Blah, blah, blah. Haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, right? And then I tell him how everything's going. And as I'm talking, dude, it's very weird. It's very weird. As I am talking about how my life has been going, he just blurts out, "Hey, Nick, so I am living CAC." And I was like, okay, like, does that mean you want me to shut the fuck up, dude? And that's the fucking, that's the poor people's therapy. Is CAC is Austin's poor people therapy, right? And so he's like, I'm leaving that organization. And I was like, okay, all right, well, I was in the middle of something, but okay. and so I stopped, and I hadn't told him, right? I hadn't told him that I'd been thinking about leaving because I was kind of scared. And so once he says that, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I've actually been thinking about whether or not this is, really doing much for me anymore. And basically, we talk about it. He says, yeah, I completely agree. I think that you would be more helped by non-traditional therapy, because in the traditional setting, and at least in this organization, there is a structure in place that they just can't go outside of. And so he said, he claims that a lot of times, as I would be talking about things, he would want to kind of try something, but he felt like he wasn't allowed to by the organization, right? Um, and so he says, let me see what I can do. I'm going to see if I can find any therapists at CAC that have, EMDR practice, or et cetera, et cetera. And he said, I'm going to be leaving for a trip, so I won't see you next week, but we can have our last session the week after that. And in the meantime, you'll hear from me, right? Because I'm going to be reaching out to these people. And I was like, okay, dope, man. Seems like the universe provided, I was thinking about doing something, and then the universe was like, hey, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for you just to make sure that you do it. And then, dude, the weirdest thing happened, and I still haven't wrapped my head around it. A week goes by, and I email my therapist, and I tell him, hey, I won't be able to make this day work for our last session. Is it possible to meet before? And he says, what time are you available on Thursday? And I tell him, oh, I'm available anytime after 5. And that was the last time I heard from him. That was the last time I heard from my therapist. You know, A, dude, he didn't even say, he said he was going to be reaching out to me. That never happened. And B, I reached out to him, and then he just ghosted me, dude, basically. And I could have fucking reached out a second time and been like, hey, did you get my email about after 5 anytime? But like, it's kind of one of those, just I don't even want to see the dude again, right? So he's like, but it was just bizarre, man, because I did feel angry at first, and I felt like, oh, this must be about me, right? Maybe maybe he's upset because I said something that hurt him, right? Like maybe because I said this isn't really doing it for me anymore, he's mad at me, right? Maybe I fucking I'm thinking about his feelings and fucking how can how can it be my fault? And then, dude, after like a day or two, uh, it just kind of transitioned into a more like, you know, maybe he has difficulty saying goodbye, you know, because I never really felt like he was that great of a therapist. And in fact, my psyche was so much like on such a different level than his that I was able to trick him, not consciously, but subconsciously, I was able to trick him into telling me what I wanted to hear so that I could then take an action based on what he said, you know, which therapists are never supposed to do is tell you what to do. And he did that. Like I managed in my fucking, this was months ago, right? But in my state of fear, I managed to set a little trap for him and be like, what do you think I should do? And he said something, and then I did that, and it fucking backfired, right? So like, I just started to think about like my experience with my last therapist, who told me he was leaving like 6 months in advance, and he told me, you know, it was really difficult. It is really difficult for me to say goodbye and blah blah. Blah. And I thought maybe this guy's not all that different, you know, maybe it's hard being a therapist and then having to leave clients who you've been helping for a long time. Uh, and maybe he just still needs to work on this part of himself, right? Maybe he's too afraid to reach out. Maybe he doesn't really care to. Maybe like whatever it is, it doesn't have to mean, oh, I'm not worthy and that's why he did it, right? It could just be, uh, you know, I don't know where he's going to. He is leaving CAC, but I don't know where he is going to. So maybe he's just got a lot of shit going on. Maybe he is having relationship troubles. Maybe he fucking, who knows, dude, right? Um, but it definitely triggered some of those fears of abandonment and some of those abandonment narratives that I have. And yeah, man. So I just fucking haven't heard from him still. And at this point, I don't assume that I will, but um, but it does feel just it's weird, man. It feels like it feels better to not be seeing a cheap therapist. I'll put it that way. Because if I could be seeing like a fucking $200-300 therapist weekly or bi-weekly, man, I would do that. But to be seeing somebody that's like still in training and is kind of like telling me like shit I don't agree with, you know, or not not like that I am denying, but just shit that I'm like, dude, there's way smarter people than you that have dismissed this already. You know, that's old psychology. Um, and but it's weird to say like I'm better off without therapy. You know, and I think that it's kind of a comes and goes, right? It comes in waves. So maybe I'm better off without therapy right now. I'm not saying that I'm better off without therapy just for the rest of my life, because I think that would be foolish to say and to think. But it's like the support groups. You know, I used them or I went to them, used it's got a little bit of a negative connotation, but I went to them and I found support until it didn't work anymore, you know? And until I realized like any kind of help that I get, you know, because my biggest struggle, dude, my whole life is that I just kind of want to take the easy road, you know? And I don't mean like because you know, I've made a lot of decisions that have been hard and that have put me into a track that will be challenging. But what I'm trying to say is that I have struggled for a long time, you know, it was marijuana, dude, at first. Or not at first, you know, first it was fucking just I don't know, I guess alcohol in Mexico, even though I really never liked it. But It was alcohol, it was marijuana, it was cheating, it was prostituting myself. It was, stealing money, dude, from work, just little amounts at a time that add up over the years, and just taking the easy way out, just being like, well, they won't notice, right? And this is easier than me having to confront uh why do I want to get high right now and dissociate from my body? Why do I want to take this money instead of earn this money? Why do I believe that I need this money so badly that I'm willing to steal it, right? That's been a big part of my life, has just been kind of, I'm just going to do the easy thing and let something else take care of my problems for me. And the thing I've come to realize is that even kind of healthy environments, I do the same thing to those, you know? So like I found a support group, and it worked, and it worked. And then I started using it to not solve any of my problems, right? It's like, oh, well, I could just keep prostituting myself, but as long as I'm coming to the support group, well, I'm on track, and I'm still doing the work. Just by showing up, I'm doing the work. And I'm not, you know, I know that it can get kind of into a fine line of like, well, how hard are you being on yourself? And also how much of this is true that you're just kind of using this to feel better about yourself. Um, but with this particular subject, I think that it's more on the latter. Um, because it gets to a point where I feel in my gut, I don't want to come to this support group. I don't want to see this therapist anymore. I feel like I'm wasting my time. Like I feel like this is almost counterproductive now, right? I have made this a unhealthy coping behavior. Um, and just so yeah, man, I don't know. In a way, it's like the coming and going in waves thing that I'm talking about is that like at this point, I just feel like I need to do the things that I have learned and that I've been talking about in groups and in therapy. And not to say that I haven't been doing these things already, but uh, yeah, it's almost like it's almost like when I was in high school, dude. And you know, it's fucking the start of the new semester, and you go to class, you go to your history class. And at the end of the class, the teacher is like, all right, go to pages 67 to 72, and there's 25 questions. You guys have to answer those and bring them in by Friday, right? And you write this down on your fucking homework notebook. And now, so you've got one homework and 7 classes to go. And then you go to your next class, and they're like, all right, you're going to fucking draw a map of Italy and, you know, draw all the places where the highest crime rate is, or some, I don't know, dude, some fucking civilization class or something. And so you write that down in your homework notebook, and all of a sudden you've got 2 homeworks. And you go through the day, and by the end of the day, you've got like at least 5 or 6 homeworks, right? Because there's always 1 or 2 classes where the teacher's like, all right, welcome back, dude, kids. Happy new semester. No homework today. Just wants to be really liked, so he doesn't leave homework. But at the end of the day, you've got 6 homeworks, and there's only 2 of them that are due tomorrow. The rest are due till Friday or even later. And so instead of kind of starting to do them ahead of time or just on time, like maybe it'll take you a week to do it, and so you do a little bit every day. Instead of doing that, you're just kind of like, all right, I know what I need to do, so I just put it aside, right? And I'm just gonna play fucking FIFA and watch In Bruges for the 5th time this week, right? and, um, and then the fucking Friday comes around, and you're just like, oh, fuck, dude, I haven't done any of these. Right. And so instead of doing them, what do? You ask your best friend Edgar, who just happens to be on his shit all the time. You're like, hey, dude, remember how good friends we are, how close of friends we are? Do you mind if I just fucking get the answers off of you? I'll just do it during recess, dude. I'll go into the library so nobody sees me. And he's like, yeah, of course, dude. Of course. And so then all of a sudden, you don't have to do any of the work, but you feel like you're doing it. You know what I mean? And then that's just how it feels. It's like, I know the homework, dude. I know the homework that I have to do. I have all the assignments. I have all the fucking, you know, I know the answers. Now I just need to fucking write them down, is what I'm trying to say, man. Uh, and yeah, so I've been trying to do it, dude. And man, I fucking just I'm going to uh I'm going to I'm going home. I'm going to Mexico at the end of the month with my girlfriend, and my brother was just down there to see my dad when he got the fucking, when he got, let's just say, a sign from his body that he wasn't paying enough attention, right? Um, and so he was down there, and we were talking about, he told me like, why do I just kind of feel like better when I'm down there? Why do I just feel like everything is kind of just it's just I just feel better when I'm down there. And we got to talking about it, and it got me thinking, because I kind of understand what he means. And it's just I think, at least for me, my answer to that is, why is it that when I go home to Mexico, why do I feel just, it's hard to explain, um if you're American, it's maybe like when you it's different, man, because it's like if you moved to fucking, you know, Poland, and then every time your family had Thanksgiving or Christmas, you flew back here. That feeling of just like, okay, I'm just back in my country, one of them for me, because obviously both of these are my countries. Um, but I'm back in the country that I grew up in, and I'm kind of around family, and so what about that? What about that feels better? And again, my answer was just like, what I told my brother was, I think the difference is, he was like, why don't I feel that way here? And I said, I think the difference, man, is that when we go down there, we don't have anything to do. Like, we have things we don't have anything we need to do. We have things we want to do, but we don't really have things that we need to do. And it's also like we're there for a week or two. So there's like a limited amount of time that feels more precious, right? So every day feels more precious because there is a fucking timer or a stopwatch or a fucking whatever, a countdown. And and aside from the fact that, my dad lives on the beach, and so you are outside 8 to 9 hours a day, and you really only go in and out of your bedroom to sleep and to wake up, right? So that's a huge component of it, is just being outside all day. Like, that's, dude, if you took somebody who lives outside all day and somebody who doesn't live outside all day, and just those two factors, assuming they have the same exact life otherwise, I am not a scientist, dude, but 100% of the time, the person who lives outside is going to be happier, for sure. So there's that, but also this idea that there's nothing we need to do, right? Here in Austin, uh, you spend most of your time inside, and this is a conversation. This is me talking to my brother. You spend most of your time inside, and you just kind of fill your day with things that you need to do, that you tell yourself you need to do. And so there's not really like this, there's not room for your curiosity to just guide you and your creativity to flourish. You're just like, okay, today's Monday. Today I'm going to work out, go to the grocery store, do laundry, read, and go to sleep. And that's my Monday, every Monday. And today's Wednesday. Today I'm going to cook what I bought at the grocery store on Monday, work out again. And, fucking just write 500 words, just, I'm not saying any of these things, there's anything wrong with these things, right? Having a routine is dope and it's awesome, man. And it can be really healthy and it can really help people. But it can also take away just the spontaneity that this world just has to offer. Um, just that feeling, dude, like that feeling that I got when I was a kid and my parents weren't home and maybe my brother and my sister were, but my parents weren't. And I would just go outside with a soccer ball, dude. Just me at fucking 8 years old. I would just go outside with a soccer ball, walk around the property, and then maybe just sit and stare at the ocean for 10 minutes, kick the ball a little bit. Maybe the ball would fall into the sand. And then I would have to go jump off the ledge, go chase the ball. And then as I do that, I see I don't know, dude. I see a fucking iguana scurry into some bushes. So I walk over there and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I walk over, I'm 8 years old. Maybe it's the first iguana I've ever seen in my life. And then I'm looking into some bushes and I'm like, where'd the iguana go? Where'd the fucking iguana go? And then I see it, dude. And I feel like, fuck yeah, dude, I found the iguana. And then I just watch the iguana, just staring back at me. I just watch the iguana and then I just get bored and then I walk away and then I fucking, just, you know what I mean? That feeling of like, I'm just gonna fucking walk around and see what happens. Just that time to just exist is what I'm trying to get to. And man, I'm in this weird place now in my life in Austin where I feel like I'm sort of getting there, at least momentarily, right? Because I know how easy it is for it to vanish or to say I'll be back. But I don't know if you guys remember, if you've been listening for a while, but I did make this my napkin plan for 2021, and my word for the year was to just being, and my personal intention was to start building my community and prioritize being over doing. And I feel like I've done that, man. Like I feel like I'm doing that because we're only halfway through the year, maybe 2/3. And I don't know, man. I don't have that crushing need to do, right? Like I found this contest on Medium that they're prizing $10,000, and then one of the four people that gets 10,000 will get an extra 50,000, right? $60,000, dude, to write an essay. And immediately I felt like I gotta do this, dude. I have to do this. All my energy has to go to this. I have to fucking do this, right? And I started getting ideas, and I just started getting excited, right? My curiosity was peaking, and I instead of telling myself I need to do this, it's like, oh, I want to do this. If I can make time, I will do this. And if I can't do, what? If I can't, then what, dude? Am I gonna fucking whip myself until I bleed, until I cry bloody tears? Or can I just say, oh, look, man, you know, you didn't do it. And and now you keep going with your life. I don't know, man. It's so bizarrely simple if you really think about it, but so hard to execute and to put into practice. Because you can start to, especially here in the US, you can start to feel like you're less worthy, right? Everybody's so busy. You look at fucking social media, dude. Everybody's got like a schedule for their posts. Everybody's posting regularly and they've got tiny little bubble stories. And you're like, how the fuck are people creating so much content, right? And then you tell yourself, well, those are the people that are successful. The people that are overworking themselves are the ones that are successful. And that's not true, man. That's just simply not true, but it puts a lot of pressure on people. Um, and it's my biggest, dude, I talk about this all the time on the podcast, but it's my biggest gripe with Joe Rogan is his fucking saying, conquer your inner bitch, right? Nothing puts you at war with yourself more than seeing the world that way. Oh, you didn't finish the fucking contest for medium? Your inner bitch won, dude. You're a fucking pussy. You're weak, right? Like, maybe I didn't finish it for a reason. Maybe instead of putting pressure to finish it on myself, I allowed myself to enjoy the things that I did in the time leading up to the end of the contest, right? Because I've lived the conquer your inner bitch life. I was in a relationship a couple of years ago, and I remember when I went and visited her hometown, I brought my fucking notebook and I said, don't be a slacker. Make sure you're productive even during this trip. And for about a month or two toward the end of that relationship, I was just like, I was there with her, but my head was thinking about short stories and, oh, well, maybe instead of doing this, he could do this at the end of the story because that would be more shocking. And, ooh, dude, what about a story about somebody who, and words would still come out of my mouth when I was in front of her, but I wasn't enjoying, dude, because I was just like, don't let that fucking inner bitch win. You gotta keep creating. You gotta keep creating. And where am I now, dude? Couple years later, I've got 5 books, 5 unpublished books, and not enough time to publish them. You know what I mean? So what's all this doing for? And what did I miss because I was so busy doing? Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. I pulled this up too because I'm going to Mexico and I've just noticed that I'm working through the plan that I made. Like I'm actually following through and I haven't been putting pressure on myself to. Like it's just I don't even look at this, dude. Like it's not like I have it fucking pasted up here next to Tom Hardy's eyes. You know? It's down in the shelf in my drawer that I never look at. But I've just naturally been doing the things and leaving room for other things that I didn't expect, I didn't expect to have a girlfriend this year. And I didn't expect to fucking just, you know, I don't know, dude. I don't know. There's so many things I didn't expect that I just kind of got overwhelmed there thinking about all of them. But I've there's three categories in this specific kind of napkin plan. There's the self, there's others, and then there's work. And I've done all the things in the self category. Make a new friend, write, read, exercise, and do at least one more plant medicine ceremony, which I've done 3. And then for work, dude, there's finish writing my new memoir. It's finished that. Fucking publish a book. I'll do that toward the end of the year. Find a Who from Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. HEB, dude, came in with the plug. And so, in others, one of the things is swim with dad. Well, hey, dude, I'm going to Mexico in less than a month. And I talked to my dad this morning, and he said, I think I might be able to scuba dive by the time that you come down. And I said, a cha-ching, dude. There we go. Cashing in on another piece of the napkin plan. I don't know, man. It's hard to give myself permission to feel good about that. Because as I'm talking right now, there is another voice in my head that is saying, like, dude, you're a fucking bitch. You're a fucking, you think you're doing well, dude? You fucking show off. And you're not working hard enough. You're not doing as much as you used to. You're slacking. You're fucking just, you think that you're happy, dude, but it's just because of your girlfriend, right? There's just all these fucking voices, dude, that are trying to take this experience away from you and not let me just take care of myself, man. I don't know. I don't know another way to put it or to frame it. But it's just, it just feels simple right now. Life feels simple right now because I know what I have to do and I'm just trying to do it as best I can. And that doesn't mean I'm not making mistakes, dude. It doesn't mean I'm not slipping up. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't feel this I don't feel this kind of just pressure that I used to feel. And I don't feel like all of my worth comes from my output. Yeah, man. And what else, man? What the fuck else? That was intense. That was intense, man. I fucking what else, man? My therapist ghosted me. Fucking da da da. Dude. There was something else, man. There was something else fucking come back to me. Oh yeah, dude. Where I've been feeling like I'm not my worth, right? Because your worth just is, but I think part of allowing myself to just be has given me space to focus on other things that I've neglected in the past, right? And that's showcased by, I don't know if showcased is the right word, but just my relationship to my girlfriend and with my girlfriend. Like, we just, I've never felt kind of more on the same page about emotions and emotional work and just boundaries and just everything, dude, than I do right now. To the point where, dude, like a week or two ago, uh, we got in, dude, something that is just fairy dust. Uh, like, we just got into an argument, dude, out of literally nothing. And I don't mean nothing because it was something I did and therefore it doesn't actually mean anything. No, it's just, it was like if you said like, hey dude, do you like this towel better than that one? And I said yes, and then you got real fucking pissed off at me, right? That kind of argument. And it was just, it was one of the few times in my life, but the most notable one in recent time, where I felt anger and I felt myself go into fight or flight. And then because of a podcast she recommended I listened to a week before the argument, where they said, when you go into fight or flight mode, it's important to remove yourself and bring that down and then re-enter the conversation. And I told her, hey, I need 10 minutes because I feel very in fight or flight, and I need 10 minutes to just go sit down, breathe, and then I'll be right back. You know, tell them how long you'll be so they don't feel abandoned. Just all these fucking things, dude, that the Gottmans on Brene Brown's podcast said to do. And I fucking did them, dude. And they worked. And, you know, 35 to 40 minutes after the inciting incident, my girlfriend went from I'm angry and it's your fault to I'm sad and it's nobody's fault. And it was, dude, it was just such a fucking like I could fucking write a book, dude, and publish it, and then people are like, oh, that's awesome, and fucking just, you know. But that doesn't come anywhere close to the feeling I had when we both came together and communicated the way that I've always fucking wanted to be able to communicate with a romantic partner. Because I felt like I showed up for myself, and I felt like I have a partner who can do the same for themselves. And it just, I asked for like 5 minutes to journal, you know, and then I just to the point where I wrote it on my notepad on my phone. Dude, do something to celebrate what just happened, because this is not a small thing. You know, you went from a couple of years ago being like, fuck you, dude, and just fucking like Marriage Story, you know, that one scene in Marriage Story, to like, hey, I'm having a trauma response right now. I think I need 10 minutes to just go sit down alone and just breathe. Doing it, coming back, communicating, listening, the other person crying, oh, it's okay, you know, yeah, this sounds difficult. And then you come together and then you're like, hey, I need a couple of minutes to journal about this because this is fucking awesome. And you do it. And then fucking you start crying, dude. You know, you start crying and you start feeling your emotions. And it's just, where's the movie about that? You know, when are they going to fucking make a movie about two healthy people in a relationship actually doing the things that help you when you get into an argument or a fight? You know what I mean, dude? When are they going to make that movie? Never. I would watch the fuck out of that movie. Why? Because I'm learning from it. I don't want to learn from Marriage Story, dude. That fucking depressing movie. You know, they've got to make a fucking good movie, dude, about stuff like this. There's already great books about it. There's great content on Instagram. I want to see a movie about it now. Because I have been finding it hard to find good movies to watch recently. And I went and saw Green Knight this weekend, and fuck you, Hollywood. Fuck you, Hollywood. That's all I have to say, dude. 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's practically a silent film. And by the end of it, you're like, thank you, dude. Thanks for wasting my night. Thanks for wasting my time tonight. And my money. Even though I don't pay for it. But yeah, man. I've got to go. So that's going to be the podcast. But man, it felt good to be back. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you soon. Hopefully I'll see you before I leave for this trip. And yeah, dude, thanks for listening. As always, fucking if you enjoyed it or whatever, like it, dude, subscribe to it. If you hated it, don't dislike it. Right? If you hated it, dude, leave a hateful comment. Don't dislike it. Just leave a hateful comment because that still helps. But yeah, man, have a great fucking week, and I'll see you next time.